everyone, welcome back to another video on Wanderers Podcast YouTube channel. So in the Wanderers of Middle Earth podcast, we basically do a bunch of videos about ranking commanders, ranking units. Sometimes we do most of the times we do podcasts where we speak about what happened during the week, our experiences during the week, and some tips. Today, we're going to rank good commanders. So today we don't actually have Hermione with us, so it's only me, Talion, from the Factions of Good. Hermione was pretty busy, so I had to do this alone. So we'll be ranking every good commander except three. Thranduil, Elohir, and then the other elf, his brother, I think his name is Elidan, something like that. The reason I'm not ranking them is because I don't know too much about them. So I don't want to, give false information or something like that. So without further ado, let's get started. Before we get started, guys, please subscribe and don't forget to leave a like. This will help us to know that you guys like this kind of content and want us to continue. Okay, so first we start with Merry and Pippin. Now, Merry and Pippin, they're fairly good. No, I'm joking. They're pretty bad. Merry and Pippin are like one of the worst commanders. They're good with hobbits and ants, but even then, compared to like other commanders, and when they fight other commanders, they become really insignificant. Not to mention they're very slow because of the ants, and if you put ants with them, ants are really bad against evil commanders, so they'll get destroyed really fast. I think they're like one of the worst commanders, and they deserve to be definitely in D rank, the worst rank. Next is Gimli, son of Glóin. Now Gimli is a bit controversial. He's a very strong commander, meaning he has a lot of strength. So if you look at stats on commanders, they have strength, speed, and they also have durability. The actual name is I lost it for a second. So the actual name is strength. It's called might, focus, and speed. So his might is very good, meaning his units will deal a lot of damage, and he will deal a lot of damage. But then his focus and other stuff really is not that good. His speed is horrible, so you can't use him with cavalry, or like really if you use him with archers and if you combine archers and dwarves, the archers will get killed really fast, and then his might is very bad his focus is very bad as well, meaning he takes a lot of damage. He doesn't reduce damage. So I would say he's a pretty average commander. You can use him if you are in Erebor. You can use him. You can combine dwarves and elves, and he'll be really good. And if you are in Lothlorien, you can combine dwarves and elves as well with their tier 4. But besides that, in any other faction, I would say he's pretty average. I mean, he's good, but he's definitely not an A. He's a B. Next is Gandalf the Grey. This one I'd like to call him, I like to call him Witch King's Bane. So the reason he's Witch King's Bane is because he has a lot of focus, meaning he basically reduces damage that he takes, and his focus is amazing. If you give him, like, for example, tools like Sandclaw, which has a lot of focus, or you give him, the best thing to use is the pipes, of course, like the golden pipe. That's really good with him because it gives him a lot of focus, and it enhances his ability to take less damage, him and his units. So he's really good with that, and if you combine him with strong units and powerful units, I think he could be one of the best commanders. Personally, I've seen him do best against evil commanders. Against good commanders, he's good, but not that good. He's mainly the best commander against, at least for me, he's been the best commander against Witch King. Of course, there are others like Galadriel and, of course, Gandalf the White, but Gandalf the Grey, for now, I would put him in S tier just for the fact that he is really good against commanders such as Witch King and evil commanders. Next is Aragorn the King. So there's a difference. There's two Aragorns. There's the King, and then there's the Alisar, the normal one. Now, this one is pretty controversial. A lot of people like him. Personally, I find him to be not the best. He's got some good stats. He starts with 99 might, which is really good, and 83 focus, which is averagely good, and 91 speed. I would say he's he's a good commander. He's good at what he does. If you add men to him, he's really good with cataphracts and like those kind of units. Cataphracts, the shield units, the shield bearers of Gondor. However, he is at the same time a tier 3 commander, meaning it's hard to get him to respect 5. Where in respect 5, he does actually get a lot of good stuff, like for example, men attack +2 and defense +5 during combat. And you can enhance that. It could go up to, for example, 14 attack and about, yeah, 35 defense, which is really good. And then round 5, he gets even a damage boost and stuff like that. All of that is respect 5. And he's got a lot of good respect 5 and respect 3 stuff. But the issue is, to get him to respect 5 and respect 3, you need a lot of items. And because he's a tier 3 commander, his items, which is the banner, like the royal banner of Elendil, it's really hard to get. So I would say he's a pretty good commander. He can handle himself. He can fight really well. He does good against other commanders and even evil commanders. But due to him being tier 3 commander and being beaten by other tier 2 commanders, I would put him in B with Gimli. Next is Legolas. Oh, Legolas, Legolas, Legolas. So Legolas has, I would say, averagely good, if not bad abilities. I mean, he does make elves stronger and archers stronger, but really where he shines the most is his might. He's got really good might. He's like Gimli, where he's almost got as good. He almost has as much might as Gimli, but he doesn't. He does have averagely good focus though and speed, which makes him averagely good, but then in might he becomes even more powerful. But due to his abilities not being as good as Gimli's ones, I would say he ranks in C. Even actually, I would say he ranks in B, but under Aragorn and Gimli. Gimli's definitely more powerful than him. He's been more successful than him, especially with dwarves and elves. Legolas, the issue with him is that he doesn't have that many boosts for dwarves, and yeah, he only has boosts for elves, which is an issue. But if you boost, he has this thing where he has a lot of abilities that are for his might, and if you use that, he becomes really powerful. So I would say he's definitely an average commander. He can handle himself. Next is Dwalin. Dwalin is one of the best tier 1 commanders. He's really good, especially when you get him to might 5, and because he's a tier 1, it's not that hard. So yeah, for example, I have him at respect 8, and I almost have his special weapon. But yeah, for example, at respect 5, he has army minus 15% received, and he also has minus 50% burn damage, which is insanely good. And then he also has his musician ability, which gives him more speed and defense. And his stats are really good. He has 91 might. His focus isn't that good, but his might really makes it really good. And then he has a lot of healing abilities and a lot of strength abilities. He's definitely one of the best tier 1 commanders. He's easy to get him to respect 5. I would put him in A for that reason. He handles himself well against tier 2 and tier 3 commanders. So next up is what's his name? Oh, I forgot his name. This guy, even though he's in like the new series, yeah, he's pretty good. How could I forget? Oh yeah, Elrond. Elrond is pretty good. I've heard a lot of good things about him. He's very hard to get. I've rarely seen someone have it. Hermione has him, and he says he's really good. By looking at his stats, he's got some good might, really good focus, which is really good. But then again, he's a tier 3 commander. So yeah, that goes kind of against him because compared to the others, which are tier 2, they can have better stats than him. His abilities are really good. He has a lot of healing abilities. And then he can boost some elves at tier 5, but due to how hard it is to get him to respect 5, sorry, I wouldn't really depend on it. And the issue with elven commanders, elven units are pretty bad. I mean, yeah, the horse one is good, but the archers and the other ones with the lang are really bad. So I would put him. He is definitely one of the top commanders, but I would also put him in B tier. He's definitely better than Aragorn, but he's not that great for a tier 3. I'm kind of disappointed. Next is Eowyn. She is by far the best tier 1 commander. She handles herself very well against other commanders. If you put good gear on her, she becomes very powerful. She's mainly a booster to mounted units. And the thing is, with mounted units, you could get them. Yeah, you could get them with all factions. You could get cataphracts and then the archers on horseback. And these two are really good units. And if you combine them with Eowyn, she becomes very powerful. So I would definitely put her in S tier. Nothing much to say. Balin. So Balin. He is a pretty controversial one. His stats are almost, I would say, even better than Gimli's. Yeah, his stats are kind of better than Gimli's. He has more average stats. His of course his might is not as good, but his focus is really good and his speed is very good. He has a lot of boosts for dwarves mainly. He doesn't have any boosts for elves, which is a problem. But he does well for himself. What's good about him is he has the leader stats, which gives him 5 more command, which does make a difference in some battles. But at the end of the day, he has pretty average stuff. I would say he's better than Gimli, but is he? I would say they're on the same level. One is what like Balin, you would use him mainly to boost your units, while Gimli you would use him to boost his might, so his gear has to be might focused, while Balin's gear has to be focused on upgrading the units because you'll have 5 more commands of units. So I would say they're averagely they're basically at the same level. I would actually say that Elrond is better than them. So yeah, I would put Elrond above them, even though he's a tier 3. He definitely would destroy all these 4 commanders, but he's a tier 3 and he can definitely be defeated by Eowyn and Gandalf and Dwalin, so I would keep him at B tier. Next is, how could I forget this guy's name? What is his name? Oh yeah, Gil Galad. Gil Galad, amazing. He has amazing stats, really good focus and really good might for an elf. His abilities are amazing. Even at respect 1, they're really good. He has boosts for elves. He has boosts for mainly allied units, really. And then he has boosts for himself as well, which is really good. And then even at later tiers, later respects, he has really good healing and really good defense, where he really boosts elves really well to make them actual good units, and they work well with him. And I would put him personally in S tier. He is definitely one of the best tier 3 commanders, and he does handle himself. King of the Dead. Now the thing is with King of the Dead, he is a really, really good commander when you have undead armies with him. But without undead armies, he kind of becomes he's kind of useless without them. Not useless, but he doesn't become as good because most of his boosts are about they're about focus, and they're mainly about boosting the undead armies. He does have some allied units boost, but it's not that good, to be honest. And yeah, if you don't have the undead army, he won't be as good. But if you do, if everyone had access to the undead armies, I would put him in S tier. But not everyone has access to them. I would say even only Rohan and Gondor would probably have access to them, and that makes him a problem. So I would put him in A tier. Next is Denethor. Just like in the movies, he's bad. I mean, I don't need to talk about him. He barely has any boosts for his commanders. His might is horrible, probably the worst one. He has good focus, but then again, if you look at his abilities, they're pretty bad. They don't boost his focus that much. And yeah, I would say he's a pretty bad commander. He's definitely down there with Pippin and Merry. So yeah. Next up, Galadriel. Now Galadriel is kind of a boosted version of Gandalf. She does really well in terms of focus. I think it's more magical commanders. They're really good at focus. Her focus is definitely much more than Gandalf the Grey and even Gandalf the White. So if you do the same tactic with Gandalf, where you boost her focus, and she has insanely good abilities with boosting focus, I would say she would definitely be S tier. And I would say even she's better than Gandalf probably, but due to her being a tier 3 and being very hard to get her to respect 5. I would say I would put her in S tier, but right under Gandalf. Don't get me wrong, Gandalf is really good. Actually, no, she's definitely better than Gandalf. Yeah, she's definitely up there. Frodo and Sam. Again, these are the kind of commanders where you need hobbits, and they're not that good. I mean, I have them. I've barely used them. They boost, of course, dwarves. But they, not dwarves. Sorry. They boost hobbits, but hobbits aren't that good. They're really bad units, and they're mainly tip commanders. I use them for tips, and they wouldn't handle themselves in the battle. I heard people saying, "Oh, they're really good if you have hobbits," but only Arnor, maybe Lothlorien, if they're lucky, could get hobbits. But yeah, I would say they're definitely D tier. I would say that, of course, they're better than Merry and Pippin. Actually, no, Merry and Pippin can use Ents, and they would still be good. Yeah, they're definitely down there. They're really bad. Next is Arwen. Arwen is a really good commander. She's got really good focus. Not as good as Gandalf, but she does handle herself. Mainly her abilities are good. She does heal a lot of allies, which is good, and she also gets boost for focus in her abilities. So you could definitely use that to your advantage. She's not that hard to get to respect 5 because she is a tier 2, and she does what's good about her. She does extra damage for men, which is really good considering that Gandalf does have a boost for every single commander, but normally the other ones, like for example Galadriel, they do boosts to elven units, and men units are generally better than elven commanders. I mean elven units, which is good. So I would put her definitely in S tier. Next is I like to call him Theogod. This guy is a beast. He's an absolute wrecking machine. I do not understand why they have him as a tier 2 commander. He's definitely a tier 3 commander. His stats are average. But then if you look at his abilities, he has, or at least in my opinion, he has by far the best abilities, or almost the best abilities. Daín Ironfoot also has really good abilities in terms of commanders. He boosts his units, and the thing is, with mounted units, they're already one of the best units, and with his boost, they become insanely good. And if you have good gear on this guy, he's basically almost undefeatable. So he's definitely S tier, and I would say he's even better than Galadriel. Next is Faramir. See, Faramir, he's definitely not. He's below average. He's mainly a tip. If you don't have any other commander, I guess you can use him, but I would definitely not use him. He's definitely better than Pippin and these commanders, but his stats are good, but his abilities are really bad, and I would generally not use him. Even his stats are not that good, to be honest. For tier 1, his focus is good, but he doesn't have that many good abilities, so I would definitely put him in C. Yeah. And he's used for tips. Next is Gandalf the White. Now, I know a lot of people are going to get pissed about this, but Gandalf the White is not that great. He's a good commander. He can handle himself on battle, but the thing is, for a tier 3 commander, I feel like he's not as good as Gandalf the Grey. I mean, maybe he's better, but he's a tier 3 commander, and he's a lot harder to get and a lot harder to get to respect 5. So he's definitely not at Gandalf the Grey's level, even though he is more powerful, but I'm looking at it where, like, if you get him, it's hard to get him to respect 5, where he gets most of his good abilities, and he has better focus than Gandalf and better skills. But no, his abilities are bad, and he's a tier 3 commander, so I would definitely put him in maybe A tier, cause he's still good. But the King of the Dead is definitely, I would say, better than him. Even Dwalin isn't like straightforward better than him, but Dwalin is definitely used by a lot more people, and he's easier to get. And I would say he's better than Gandalf the White. Next is Thorin Oakenshield. Thorin Oakenshield is one of the new commanders. He's good. He's good. I've seen a lot of people use him in a good way. He does boost his abilities, or I mean his skills, and then like his abilities boost his skills, and he has really good might. He has average focus and average speed, so I would say he's an A tier as well, if not a B tier. He's definitely not as good as Daín Ironfoot. At least I don't personally see him as better than Daín Ironfoot. He does get good abilities towards Respect 5, but then again, Respect 5 is really hard to get for a tier 3 commander. So I would actually put him in B tier probably, but he is definitely better than all the B tiers. Next is Hirgon. If this guy didn't have an ability to boost to boost the siege, he is the only one in good commanders which boosts siege. Yeah, just for that reason, I would put him in C. If he didn't have that ability, he would definitely be in D. He's one of the tip commanders where you use him mainly for tips, but he does have this ability which makes him better, which gives siege armies +1, and if you get it to maximum, +7. Next is Imrahil, one of the new commanders as well. This is a bit controversial. If you're not in Gondor, he kind of becomes less powerful, I would say. If you have Swan Knights with this guy, he becomes really good. But without it, he's kind of an average commander, to be honest. He's don't get me wrong, he's not bad. He is good. But then when you have Eowyn, Eómer, and Theoden compared to him, he becomes kind of insignificant because they all boost units better than him. So I would definitely not put him as at their level, and I would definitely put him in B tier. Maybe he's better than Legolas, and he's actually better than all three of these commanders, I would say. Next is Ori. So Ori's the kind of the ripoff version of Dwalin. He's also a tip commander, but he does have one of Dwalin's best abilities. But then his stats aren't that good. For example, he has horrible might and not that good focus compared to Dwalin. I mean, yeah, he does have better focus than Dwalin, but Dwalin has better might. And normally dwarves, you want to use them with you want to combine might with them. So I would definitely put him. I would say he could handle himself well. But if Dwalin didn't exist, he would probably be higher. But because Dwalin exists and he's a tier 1 and easy to get, I would put him in C. Next is Boromir. Boromir is like Faramir, I feel. He's a bit better than Faramir in terms of abilities, but his stats aren't as good as Faramir. He's got good might, but he doesn't have good focus. But then again, good might with men does work really well. So I would put him. I would say I put him in C tier as well, but he's definitely the best C tier. If you don't have any of these commanders, I would say if you don't have Dwalin or Eowyn, you'll definitely use Boromir as your tier 1 commander, because he is pretty good. Next is Radagast the Brown. He's definitely not as good as Gandalf the White. He's definitely not as good as Gandalf the Grey. Now, you guys are going to hate me for this, because I am probably going to put him in C tier. The reason I think he's this bad is because without Beornings and Eagles, he kind of becomes insignificant. He's a commander that definitely has averagely good stats. For a tier 3, he has kind of okay stats. His might is horrible. But yeah, he does handle himself. He becomes really good when you have beasts with him, so meaning Beornings and Eagles. But then if you don't have them, and it's not like it's easy to get them. You need to be either probably Lothlorien. That's it. Yeah, you need to be Lothlorien to get Eagles and Beornings. Maybe Erebor, but besides that, it's really hard to get them. So I would say if you were in this faction, I would probably put him in an A right behind Gandalf the White. But not all factions have access to this, so I would put him in C tier. Almost B tier. He's definitely the best C tier here. Because if you have... Look, he's really good when you have Beast with him. But if you don't, I wouldn't use him, to be honest. And he's a tier 3 commander, hard to get to Respect 5, where he gets a lot of good stuff. So yeah, I would definitely put him in C tier. If factions had more access to Eagles and Beornings, I would go up to A tier. Anyways, next up is Eómer. This is a controversial one as well because this guy, if you are in Rohan, he is a beast. His speed stat and his might stat makes are really good for a tier 2 commander, and I would say he's probably one of the best mounted units commander. But if you're not in the reason he's really good in Rohan is because he has this ability. I mean, the marshals have this ability where if you have a good speed, like the more speed you have, the stronger they become. So if you are in Rohan, he becomes very good, especially if you have really good gear with him. But if you aren't in Rohan, yes, you could still use. I mean, you could still use him with other mounted units, but I don't think he would be good as what's his name, Theoden and Eowyn. So I would put him in A tier probably. If not, maybe B tier. But yeah, he's definitely at the bottom of the A tier. Next is Daín Ironfoot. Daín Ironfoot is really good. He's insanely good, actually. I wish I had him when I played as Erebor. His boosts to freaking Dwarven commanders is insane, and his might is really good. Yes, he's a tier 3 commander, hard to get him to respect 5, but his respect 1 abilities are insanely good, and the fact he has 105 might, which is probably, I think, one of the best mights, if I'm not mistaken, in the game. So yeah, he becomes really good. I mean, how much does Gimli have in terms of might? Gimli has 100 might. Yeah, so he does have one of the best mights in the game. Combine this guy with dwarves, especially with the tier 4 dwarven unit, he becomes kind of unstoppable, especially with good gear. Even if you're not in Erebor, he's really good. He's like really good with dwarven units. So I would definitely put him in S tier. I would say he's even better than Gandalf, maybe not better than Galadriel and Theoden. Next is the before last one is a Haldir. Haldir is like Radagast. He's good if you have Beast with him. He is really useful in taking in like beginning of the game for you to take the undead army, like the undead camp, because he has this thing where he avoids sorry, no, he doesn't avoid. First 4 rounds, all allied units, 10% chance to gain pursuit, which basically ignores the target's evasion, meaning the undead armies don't take reduced damage. Like they take like they only take focus damage. This guy can deal actual damage to them, physical damage. So yeah, he's definitely good in beginning of the game, but then as a commander as a whole, he's definitely better than all these commanders. Maybe not Radagast, but he can handle himself pretty well without beasts. That's why I'm putting him above Radagast. Finally, we have Aragorn, the tier 2 one. This guy is pretty average as well. He's good. He's really good at the beginning because he does give a boost of defense and stuff. Give him good gear because he can boost gear, which is good. Base stats from equipment it could go up to plus 14%. So he is really good if you have gear, like good gear. But compared to other commanders, he's not that good. I would put him in B tier as well. He can definitely handle himself, but he's not one of the best. I would put him probably. He's definitely not as good as Aragorn the King, but he is better than Legolas, I think. Or is he? Yeah, he is. He is. I'm pretty sure he is. Actually, no. Legolas is better than him. So yeah. So that's the ranking that I think. I actually believe that Arwen. Yeah, I don't think Arwen should be in S tier. I would put her down here. She's definitely better than these guys. Maybe not than the King of the Dead and Gandalf, but they are tier 3, and it's hard to get them to respect 5. So if you don't have them to respect 5, she's definitely better than them. So yeah, that's been the ranking of good commanders. Of course, this is all personal opinion. Some of you might prefer, some of you would probably put Radagast in A tier, if not S tier. Some of you would put Gandalf the White as one of the best people, the Undead King as one of the best people. But personally, this is my ranking, and I believe Theoden, for now, is the best commander in terms of... He's definitely the best tier 2 commander. Maybe he's weaker than other tier 3 commanders, but he's a lot easier to get to respect 5 and 10 than the tier 3 commanders, and that's why he becomes more useful than them and better than them. Not to mention he has the leader stat, him and Daín Ironfoot. So yeah, actually, I think Daín Ironfoot is even better than Galadriel. So yeah, I am swapping a bit of things as I go because I think about them a bit. But yeah, I believe these are like I think this is for me at least. It's pretty accurate ranking. Maybe Haldir. Actually, I think Haldir is worse than Radagast, so I would put him down. But yeah, I think this in terms of good commanders is the ranking I would go with. I don't know if you guys would disagree or not. Of course, if you have any comments, please leave them, or if you have any changes, please leave them in the comments. And thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next time.